World on edge after test. Putin sparks World War III fears with flying Chernobyl nuclear missile boost. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reignited global tensions after boasting that Russia now possesses the world's most advanced nuclear forces and unveiling a chilling new weapon, a nuclear powered cruise missile dubbed the Flying Chernobyl. Now let's break down today's story in detail on the AI podcast.
Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a fascinating, maybe slightly chilling set of sources this week. It all centers on a pretty major announcement out of Russia recently.
Yeah, specifically President Putin's visit, right, to that military command post on October 21st, late night.
Exactly. And he made this huge claim about their nuclear readiness, a global statement, really. Yeah. So our mission today, it's not just reading headlines. We really need to unpack what's going on with this supposed new nuclear missile test.
The Burevestnik.
The Burevestnik, yeah, which has picked up this, frankly, terrifying nickname, the Flying Chernobyl.
A name that tells you a lot already.
It really does. So we'll look at the tech claims, the safety issues, which are huge, obviously, and also the timing, right? The rhetoric, the context of the actual war happening.
Yeah, you can't separate those things.
Definitely not. And the big boast, the headline grabber, was Putin saying Russia's nuclear deterrent is now, what was the phrase?
Highest level.
The highest level, right. Higher than that of any other nuclear state. That's a big statement.
It is. A very deliberate statement.
Okay, so let's start with the weapon itself, this Burevestnik missile.
Right. And it wasn't just Putin. You had General Gerasimov there, too, Russia's top general. It adds weight.
So, the missile. It's described as a nuclear-powered cruise missile.
Which is already pretty exotic technology.
And the claims are, well, they're almost unbelievable. Unlimited range.
Unlimited range, yeah. That's the big one.
And the ability to evade all current Western defense systems. I mean, how much of that is real versus just, talk?
Well, the strategic goal is clear. Intimidation. Make the West think twice.
Yeah.
Putin himself admitted it's not actually ready for combat yet.
Oh, okay. So he tempered it a bit.
He did, which suggests the announcement itself, the timing, the rhetoric, that's the primary weapon right now. Political pressure, deterrence.
But they did claim some specific test achievements. Gerasimov laid out some numbers, didn't he?
He did, and they're quite something. The missile supposedly flew for 15 hours.
15 hours.
Yeah. Covering 14,000 kilometers. That's what, about 8,700 miles?
Wow.
And performed, quote, all prescribed vertical and horizontal maneuvers. The stuff you'd need to dodge defenses.
Okay, 15 hours. That sounds incredibly long for a missile flight, especially compared to previous reports. Wasn't there a failed test not long ago?
Exactly. Back in 2022, reports suggested a test lasted maybe 2 minutes before it crashed.
2 minutes versus 15 hours, that's a monumental leap, if true.
It is. A huge leap. And Gerasimov apparently added that this test, the 15-hour one, hadn't even reached the missile's limit. Meaning the nuclear power source theoretically allows it to fly much longer, potentially for days.
Fly for days. A cruise missile.
That's the idea. Unlimited range isn't just about distance, it's about endurance.
Yeah.
Flying unpredictable routes for extended periods.
Which brings us squarely to that nickname, the Flying Chernobyl. Let's unpack that. Why is it being called that?
It's about the power source. To get that kind of endurance, that incredible range, without carrying tons of conventional fuel, they're apparently using a small nuclear reactor on board.
A nuclear reactor on a cruise missile.
Yes. And here's the critical part. To make it work, to keep it light enough, that reactor has to be unshielded, or maybe only partially shielded.
Unshielded, so it's venting radioactive material as it flies.
Essentially, yes. The design seems to work by heating air that passes through the reactor core and expelling it for thrust. But that exhaust, it's radioactive.
So you literally have a flying nuclear reactor spewing radioactive particles across its flight path.
That's the concern. And experts have warned about this for years. If something goes wrong, a malfunction, a crash during a test, or even an operation,
it could be catastrophic, like the Chernobyl disaster in '86, but potentially spread over a much wider area depending on where it comes down.
Precisely. You're not just talking about the impact zone. You're talking about potentially contaminating thousands of kilometers with radioactive debris. It's an enormous ecological and safety hazard baked into the design.
And the sources say this recent test happened up in the Arctic.
Reportedly, yes. which just adds to the environmental worries. Western analysts had previously kind of dismissed this whole concept as just too dangerous, too unstable.
But now Russia claims a 15-hour flight. It suggests they think they've made it work, despite the risks.
Or they want the world to believe they've made it work. But yeah, the potential for disaster is immense. Military analysts are calling it one of the most dangerous weapon concepts ever conceived, simply because of that inherent radiological risk. A failure isn't just a failed test, it's a potential environmental catastrophe.
Okay, so we have this frightening technological claim, but let's pull back again to the timing. This announcement didn't happen in a vacuum.
Not at all. Right alongside talking about the Burevestnik, Putin confirmed Russia had just conducted nuclear war drills, like full-scale exercises, testing their nuclear forces' readiness.
So flexing the nuclear muscle across the board.
Absolutely. And then, almost in the same breath as these high-level strategic announcements, what was happening on the ground in Ukraine?
Right. The sources are clear on this. As Putin was making these claims, Russian missiles and drones were hitting residential areas in Kyiv.
Yeah, a really stark contrast. Talking about futuristic nuclear tech while using conventional weapons to hit apartment buildings.
And the human cost was immediate. The reports mention at least 3 civilians killed, including children.
29 others injured. Fires in, 9 16-story apartment towers.
It's just a brutal reality check against the backdrop of these abstract nuclear threats.
It really grounds the rhetoric. And predictably, you got conflicting stories about those Kiev attacks.
Yeah, President Zelensky condemned them outright, said Russia's goal is just to cause as much pain as possible.
And he provided numbers too. Over 1,200 strike drones, nearly 1,400 guided bombs, 50 missiles.
Right.
Just in 1 week across Ukraine. That's a huge volume.
But then the Kremlin's envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, tried to spin it differently.
Yeah, he actually suggested it was Ukrainian air defenses that caused the damage in Kyiv.
Yeah.
Trying to deflate blame.
A claim that seems pretty dubious given the patterns we've seen.
Widely dismissed, yeah. But it shows the information war running parallel to the actual conflict and the nuclear posturing.
So how did the world react to this combination? The missile boasts, the drills, the attacks?
Well, the U.S. responded pretty quickly with new sanctions, targeting Russia's oil sector.
More economic pressure.
Yeah, exactly. And there are reports that more measures are potentially on the way, trying to hit Russia financially.
And diplomatically. Any shifts?
The sources mentioned former President Trump doubling down on his position, said he wouldn't meet with Putin because he doesn't see any real interest in peace from the Russian side.
So, summing this up, this announcement seems to have hit 2 nerves at once.
I think so. On one hand, you have the renewed fear of, broader escalation, World War III type anxieties fueled by the nuclear rhetoric.
And on the other hand, this very specific, almost unique fear tied to the Burevestnik itself, the flying Chernobyl aspect, the risk of a massive radiological accident.
It's a strange paradox, isn't it? A weapon supposedly designed for ultimate strategic reach, unlimited range.
But its very design carries this immediate, potentially localized but catastrophic environmental danger. Its intimidation achieved by embracing instability.
They've basically advertised a weapon whose failure mode is potentially worse than its intended use in some scenarios.
Which leaves us with a really difficult question, and maybe something for you, the listener, to think about. If the sources suggest this is mainly a threat right now, not something ready for deployment, but they are claiming this 14,000-kilometer, 15-hour flight success. How do you actually weigh that risk? A weapon that could fly for days, designed around an unshielded reactor.
Yeah, what is the real price, not just strategically, but environmentally, ethically, of proving you have unlimited range with technology like that?
What's the cost of that capability, even if it's just for show right now? I have the question to end on.
Well, what message is Putin trying to send with the timing of this missile test amid ongoing strikes in Ukraine? Don't forget to comment it. Thanks.